Here we go. Hi, this is David Roberts of Whitecross, lead singer.
And this is Rex Carroll, lead guitar player from Whitecross. You are listening to the Rock and Metal Faith Podcast. Crank it hard, crank it heavy, crank it all day long.
Hey, welcome back to the Rock and Metal Faith Podcast. And we got a special episode. Like I said, we had something big coming up. Here it is. We are joined with Rex Carroll and Dave Roberts from Whitecross.
Welcome, gentlemen. How are you guys doing?
Thank you. Very nice.
Oh, and there's Rex with his guitar.
I'll be like Eddie Van Halen. I'll just speak with my guitar.
Oh, yeah.
Another Steve Vai. Well, welcome to the program, guys. Congrats on the tour. I believe you guys have been touring with Petra on their Petra reunion tour.
Yeah, we have been doing that. We haven't had a dates in a minute here, but we've done a lot with them this spring, and then we have more dates going into the fall.
Sounds good. So how's that tour going? How's the fans reacting and all that?
Dave, what do you think? I think it's going great.
Yeah, I think it's been going good. The fans have been very receptive of the new music. And of course, they love the old stuff when we do the old catalog songs. So, yeah, I think it's going well.
As a couple of the newer songs we're doing, I've noticed getting like super intense reaction. Like every time we play that new song, The Way We Rock, it's like I'm kind of playing the song and I'm sort of watching the crowds, and they're just, I don't see a lot of reaction, but then when the song is done, it's like in the place where usually.
Yeah.
Is there a certain song so far that you notice that people like?
Well, we'll never, as long as we have the band Whitecross, we'll never get away from the song "In the Kingdom." I love that, because they turn the lights down and everybody gets out their cell phones and they're waving along.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's very
wow.
Cool.
And the message of that song, we live in a fallen world and we're being told one thing by the media, but the reality is that God is still on the throne and Jesus is still Lord over all. That's kind of, and we are a family of believers together. That's the message of the song, and it seems like it's a more timely message now even than it was 30 years ago. So
Totally.
Who could have known? So it's great to be part of the family of God.
Amen to that.
Definitely. And you find, a lot of these faith-based songs seem to be more relevant now than they were when they were written 20, 30, 40 years ago type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, and you take a song like The Way We Rock, and that was a song written specifically for the audience to have something to, a banner for them to band together, and have a song that is shared for the people. It's like we're the warriors of Heaven's Army, and we spread it loud, we spread it proud, and we stand up, and this is the way that we rock, and it's just an anthem for the fans, so it goes to that whole, it's a different way of expressing the same thought, and it's the rock version of In the Kingdom. In the Kingdom is the big ballad thing, but it's expressing the same kind of thing, that we're all together in the kingdom, in one family.
How are you, Dave, coming along with the singing? Was it hard for you to get into the old songs?
It was, yeah, it's been quite challenging. I mean, Scotty's not an easy singer to cover. And so, I kind of had to kind of do it my own, put my own style to
Yes.
it, but yeah, I mean, much respect to Scotty and everything that he did. But it's coming along great. Uh, I'm very comfortable with the material that I have learned already, and of course with the new material. And I'm still, it's still an ongoing process of me learning the old catalog, because I want to be able to learn as many songs as the people want to hear of the old catalog, of songs. And of course, we want to continue to write new stuff as well. But yeah, it's going really well. It takes a lot of work and a lot of time, but I'm at a point now where I'm very comfortable being the front man for Whitecross. I love this band. I love the message. So I mean, it's just a beautiful. My world is very beautiful right now.
Sounds
Dave,
good.
Dave does. I really admire how he uh, really takes a lot of effort to match the phrasing and to get all the little technical singing things with the old songs and it's a respect for our fans.
Hmm.
It's like you take a song like "Who Will You Follow" from our first
Hmm.
album. Okay, it's a fan favorite, so we're not going to come out and say, "Well, we have a new singer, so we're not doing that old junk anymore."
That's right.
Yeah.
Doing that, it's like no, we're it's still Whitecross. It's we're going to play the songs that people expect to hear, but Dave does a fantastic job of just kind of like you said, respecting and honoring the legacy of the catalog, and then
Hmm.
bringing a fresh spin to it. We never asked Dave, Dave, we want you to be a clone of Scotty. It's like no, we want you to be you, and and to breathe some new life into the interpretations, and feel free to be yourself. And um, and Dave is he's kind of a bluesier type singer, like in a classic Whitesnake kind of mold, a David Coverdale thing. Uh,
Yes,
at times he
I
can
can
be a
tell.
little bit like I. Wonderful thing about Dave is I hear all kinds of comparisons, like, oh, he sounds like I've heard people tell me he sounds like David Coverdale, he sounds like Ronnie James Dio, he sounds like Jeff Tate, he sounds like Sammy Hagar, and Dave's personal influence, he likes a lot of Robert Plant, I believe, and it's like, well, hey, if you're in this conversation with all of these amazing singers, what is that telling you? Well, Dave also, he's one of the greats. So,
So, so
I'm
Dave, just for people who don't know you,
into it.
how did you get into singing and your start, your, where and how you got here?
Well, I've been singing professionally rock and roll since I was 19. Was my first professional show, and I did a lot of the, everything like Rex just mentioned, all those guys, and then and then I did some original stuff that never went anywhere, but I never gave up. I moved from major city to major city. Like I would stay at an area 2 years at a 2 years at a time, and work that area, and then move to another city. So I've been doing this for a very long time, and to pay the bills, the originals were like in the dumper, especially after the digital age came in. It was
Yeah.
a different animal, and so I started doing tribute stuff, and that's basically how these guys found me. They found me on YouTube doing some Whitesnake,
Oh, really? Wow.
and then I
That.
auditioned for them, and you know, they of course they needed to make sure that not only did my voice work, but that my attitude was right, that my beliefs were in the same vein. It was. I had to check a lot of boxes, and they were very, very, and rightfully so, very picky on who they chose, and I was just blessed enough to get the job.
Well, good.
And I'm very excited about it. To me, it's nothing. There was nothing before Whitecross for me, in my opinion, my soul, my heart. Nothing else mattered before Whitecross. Now, this is what my whole life has. I have worked to get this, to be able to sing rock and roll and sing for the Lord. I feel like I'm blessed, you know. So that's where I'm coming from, and that's where I've been.
Good.
That's a
You
good way to
seem to
say
fit in
it.
really well there. And how have the fans been reacting to you as the new singer? Uh,
Well, it was you know, I went into this thinking, you know, realizing that, you know, any major band that changed singers, you know, there was always some hate mail going on, you know, and so
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
was totally prepared for it. And I mean, and there was a little bit here and there, but it was a lot less than I was expecting. And then once we started performing, they've welcomed me with open arms. So the fans have been just beautiful to me, and I respect them. And that's why, you know, that's why I'm working hard to get the catalog for the fans, you know, to show my respect to the music and to the fans.
yeah, that's good to hear.
Rex,
Like I've got the new record, and I wasn't sure what to think, especially with a new singer. But once I heard the songs, I'm like, this stuff is this stuff is great. You know, the vocals are great. Rex's playing is great. There isn't if you're a White Cross fan, there's nothing to not like on this record.
Right.
yeah, for sure. Rex, I noticed that you were smiling there a lot when Dave was speaking. What did you think when he was auditioning initially?
Oh, I just can't. I was having a hard time believing that God was just going to bless us with this singer, and I kept looking for, okay, where is the when is the other shoe going to drop? You know, when are we going to like accidentally stumble on,
Find out something. Yeah.
open a door to a closet and all the skeletons fall out? I mean, you know, we've all been around the block. Really, there's just like there's a level of honesty, and there's a level of truthfulness, and there for me, I've never. Uh, it's like the band we went from being, you know, we had a very dysfunctional period, and where we're from that to where we are now. This iteration of the band. This is the last iteration. There can't be anymore after this because this is like, wow, everybody in the band loves everybody.
Hmm.
Everybody in the band supports each other. You know, I know that Dave loves my guitar, and he knows that I love his vocal, and we all love the Lord, and we're all in one accord as far as we want to take the band wherever God wants to send us.
Amen.
You know, I can't even imagine. You know that I do have a regret that you know I just wish that we had gotten to this lineup of the band like 40 years ago.
Yeah.
That's all I can really tell you because you know there's nothing too complicated about it. When I was a kid, I saw the Beatles on TV and I thought, wow, that would be the coolest thing in the world. It would be to have
Yeah.
a band like that. And you know, of course, when you see the Beatles on TV and in the movies and stuff, you think, oh, they're like a loving family. But you know, later on, you know, decades later, we find out, well, they had their issues with each other. But you know, that's them, and that's not us. You know, we're you know just to really have that aspiration to do it and to do it together. It was just an amazing thing.
So seeing the Beatles there, was that your aha moment when you saw them and go, that's what I want to do? I want to play guitar?
Of course, of course. You know, I was a wee lad sitting on my mama's lap when the Beatles came on TV and I saw them for the first time, and I was like, you know, my jaw was hanging on the floor. I thought, oh my god, this is the coolest thing ever.
Yep. Gotta love the Beatles.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
The,
well, like I said, everybody, especially all those who do it for a living, have that moment where it clicks and go, that's what I'm going to do.
well,
Hmm.
for me, you know, actually, there was a moment, and I'll tell you this, dude, because it's just the truth. I was already like way into my music. You know, I spent years studying the violin, and the piano, and I was uh, learning the guitar, all those things at the same time. I was way into my music, and then I saw, and I was into rock and roll and stuff in the '70s, and I saw Deep Purple on TV, and Richie Blackmore had his guitar. He was very annoyed with the cameraman was getting a little too close, so he took his guitar and he went like this into the camera. Only it was more like he just, and then you saw the screen wobbled, and then it went black, and then there was like a blackout for like 5 seconds. Oh my God, he knocked out the camera. And then a camera came on like from a different angle, and I was just shocked and awed, and I thought, whoa, I want to be the guy who does that.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that was it. That was the final nail in the coffin for me. And then you're in school, and your mom says, well, you should study. You should be. You, you shouldn't just study music. You should study like band directing, so you have something to fall back on. Oh, you mean like so I can be a high school marching band director? Like, no.
Teacher, yeah.
No, we're. I'll steal one of Dave's lines. We're the A team because there is no plan B,
Right.
right?
What about you, Dave? Did you always want to be a singer, or did you anticipate going into rock and roll, or?
Yeah, ever since I saw the Beatles, I knew that's what I wanted to do. It's the same thing, same story. I knew it, and I just, I knew when I was just a little kid that that's what I wanted to do, and that's what I pursued. And I was from my very first audition, I got the gig. I never looked back. I just kept going. I'm like, there, uh, I'm going up the hill, but I'm gonna make it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
here I am with Whitecross, man. I mean, like I say, life's beautiful. Life's beautiful with Whitecross.
Yeah, career music seems to be a long struggle, long journey, but if you get to the top, it seems to be worth it.
Yeah, and really, it's the journey. The journey, that you learn a lot on the journey. But when you get to the spot where you've been aspiring to get to, it's very sweet for sure. All the lessons learned, all the scrapes on the knees, etc. All pay off. I mean, I'm sure Rex can tell you about some tours in his camper. you know, and so we've all paid our dues. That's for sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
and it's not so much about we're the world's hugest band, like we're the Scorpions or something like that.
Yeah,
But we're not. We're just a little band that could, and we keep hanging around, and trends come and go, and fashions come and go, and heavy guitar, blues bass singing style. It's in style, it's out of style, and then it comes back. And we've just kind of just done our thing all the way through. And it's not like we're the biggest band in the world or anything. Certainly, we have quite a ways to go in that regard. But it's just the fact that we can do it together, and we all go down the road together, and it's a band of warrior brothers, and that's what's really
Are you guys finding a lot of churches that are booking you, or?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's mostly where we have been performing, and between that and festival dates, and working on a very big. I mean, if it all comes together, if nothing drops out, we have like a pretty amazing tour coming up for spring of 2025 in Europe, and then moving on to South America. So
Europe. Wow. Have you guys been to Europe before?
yeah, we were just there last year.
Oh, okay. Did you guys take a year off for COVID, or how did that work?
Well,
COVID was terrible because we wanted to get going with David in 2020, and we had a festival date lined up. It was like, cool, all right, this will be our first gig with Dave, and we'll have a chance to get to know each other, and blah blah blah, and all that, and the whole thing got put on hold, that was a lost year.
Yeah.
And you know, this will be my little political rant. It wasn't COVID; it was the government lockdowns
Yeah.
that, that prevented everybody from working. And I'll just put it there, and I'll leave it.
Yeah.
But we didn't stop. We didn't stop personally. I mean, Rex continued doing his awesome writing, and then we would, work together on tracks, and so it wasn't complete waste of time. We just couldn't do really any shows. But once we finished the album and we started doing shows, then it started snowballing, and I think it's going to continue to do so.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Your tracks seem to be a lot heavier compared to your other albums. Was that a conscious decision?
I would say it's more. Well, like Dave was saying, you know, you go through all the bumps and bruises. Along the way, Whitecross, the band collectively, we've probably made every mistake in the book that can be made, both with in performing and also with recording. So with recording, and I've suffered through not I wouldn't say bad producers because all the producers that we had, uh, well, there was one that was really bad. Um, but by and large, the producers really tried to help us as best they could. But there was nobody really steering the ship, and there was nobody really advocating for the artist. And um, so we finally got to the point where, okay, this is our record to make. So, you know, now you can hear a record that's got drums, bass, guitars, and vocals, and keyboards on it, and even partnering with Anthony Fox, who's like one of the best engineers in the world. The guy works with Steven Tyler and the Dead Daisies and Metallica, and tons of people. He's got a credit list. He's produced the number one song for Russ Daughtry. His list goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
Anthony has been my personal friend since about 1986. In fact, he's a co-writer on that song "Who Will You Follow." So I don't know if people know that, but you know, all these years later, it goes by, and we had lost touch for a while, and then we reconnected a few years ago, and it's been just a fabulous partnership. And so Anthony gives us just a deeper level of technical expertise, and and as a producer, what I've learned is that you really have to advocate for the songs and advocate for the band, and you have to know your guys in the band. You know, it's like, well, what's going to help Dave the most to do his best vocals? What's going to help Mike the most to do his best drumming? You know, what's going to help Benny? Um, so, you know, in Benny's case, you know, we kicked his butt. We took him down to Sweetwater, and you know, we got him a new bass, and we got him we've got him like 3 or 4 different pedals for his bass, and we really, you know, tried to help him and push him at the same time. Same, likewise, all the way around the room. You know, we tried to help everybody to do their best work so that the record can be the best, and it can be the best,
Hmm.
and putting its best foot forward. And that's just what we're trying to do. And so finally, after all of the, you know, it's like you learn things and you learn to recognize. I think I've learned to recognize, hey, before something goes bad, let's make sure everything goes right. And then you recognize, so, well, if we do this, that's going to trend in the wrong direction. And so you learn to recognize things before they happen. So we're solving problems before they even have a chance to become a problem, and we're getting some great music at the end of the day. So, and we're improving as songwriters and the rest of it. So I think it's one of our best albums ever.
Well, it's definitely up there with classics, I'd say. Was this the first time producing for you?
No, for a Whitecross album, this may be the first time I've taken full credit as producer. but have collaborated with engineers in the past and things here and there, and
Excuse me.
had producers and when we were starting out, every producer that I've ever had over me, I've learned from them and learned the good things and the bad things, and one of the things about producers is in the old days, in the analog days, with the big record companies and the big budgets and stuff, and producers were making all the money. Never forget that the producer, they're kind of helping you, but don't forget they're getting paid by the record company, so they're working for the label. At the end of the day, if push comes to shove, they're gonna the company is gonna tell the producer what they want, and the producer's gonna go, well, sorry fellas, it's gonna go like this, but that's not what we want, so well, in this experience, it's just us working for us, and I'm not afraid to go outside the band for help. Certainly we brought in the great John Lowry,
Hmm.
veteran. We had Anthony Fox, and we had a couple different friends contributing keyboards and vocal tracks, and so we definitely will take advantage of outside help where it makes sense. So we're not afraid of that. So you learn. We've been doing it for a long time. Done records for other people now. So figured now is the time.
Now is your time. This is your baby.
Yeah, right, exactly. It's our time now.
How did you achieve your guitar tone on this record? Like, what kind of setup did you use?
There you go.
Do you use any pedals, or you just go straight in the amp?
95% of the rock guitar tones came out of the Swan amplifier that came to me by way of my great friend Peter Semlin from Sweden. Peter's an awesome brother. He put together a secret Facebook group. He said, "Let's get Rex a Swan," and I was flabbergasted when he walked through my doorway. It's like he came out from Sweden to visit on my birthday, and it's like I had no idea he was coming. And then he handed me this card, and it was signed by all these people that had chipped in. It was like, oh my goodness, this is the most amazing thing ever. It was unreal.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I have a couple pedals that there's like a little EQ pedal that I really like that's kind of always on. It doesn't do much, but it sort of controls the mid range frequencies of the guitar a little bit, kind of pushes them a little bit forward, and it's really nice. And got this great pedal from Daniel Lang.
Daniel Lang, yeah.
You did all the guitar work, or was that with somebody else?
Sorry, to repeat the question.
Did you do all the guitar work, or was there somebody else?
No, this part's too hard for me. I said, Dave, you play the leads on this song. I can't do it. No, I muddled through as best as I could, and and we send it to Anthony and let him deal with the mix.
Sure.
Actually, our executive producer Sue Smith, she gave me some good advice on one of the songs. I was telling her, well, and this part in this song on "Man in the Mirror," right, and that bridge before it goes to the chorus, so I want to put like a chorusing effect on my guitar. She said, why don't you describe the sound that you want to Anthony, but don't tell him, which plugins or which effects to use to get it. Just let him interpret your direction, and then let him just interpret that. And so we did that, and it turned out really well.
Yes, it sounds awesome.
I hear it. It's not the way that I would have done the effect, but it's like, so you gotta, as when you're producing. So I'll tell you one of the things when we took David to Franklin, Tennessee to work with John Lowry in his studio. And I said, okay, John, you have, I'm ceding these vocal sessions to you, and that's really hard for me because I'm a control freak. I'm real anal retentive about all that stuff. So I said, I'm just going to walk away from it. And at times I was hearing, I don't think that's the part. Ooh, I don't know about, And I did, and I said, well, I gave him either you let somebody uh, do what you empowered them to do, or you don't. And okay, I just gonna trust that between Dave and John, they're gonna come up with some vocals that are gonna be really cool, and they did. And it all worked out fabulous at the end. But I sometimes I have to empower other people to do what they're doing, and then I just have to like step away
So
and
yeah,
let other people do their thing, and okay, just trust the process. And now we've had success with it, so we already know.
yeah, you know what you're doing, totally. Yeah.
So we've kind of, and Dave had no choice but to sort of to trust the process and
Yeah.
that I like to work and that sort of thing. And Dave didn't know John Lowry, but I just kept saying, well, John's going to be great, working with you on your vocals. And John just made him do like every performance. He said, well, you got to do it 3 times, and then we'll pick and we'll modify and we'll cut
You'll
together
modify it, yeah.
one. And so I think your head was spinning every single night when you walk out of there. Well, what'd you do today? What did you do today, Dave?
I have no idea.
Your head spinning around.
How long are we guys practicing? Like what, 12, 18 hours a day?
No, not me.
No, we I really believe for myself, our band, with the limited budgets that we have, and we're paying for everything. We're not getting any help from any record label. This is all on us to do whatever we do. So I'm a big believer in make your demos. Make a demo of everything, and I'm gonna. It's like I got this idea for a song. I think it's gonna work. Well, if I can lay it out with some drum loops and the basic idea, and I can sing like a scratch vocal track, like an octave lower, and I can send it to Dave, and then Dave's gonna take it in his. You have like a rehearsal studio of your own.
Yeah, the Hobbit Hut.
He's gonna take it and work it out, and so through that process, I've gotten much better at knowing where is like the powerful ranges for Dave to sing in. So we do the demos. We know that it works. We have a good mock-up of the songs, kind of like when you're making a movie and you have storyboards.
Yeah.
You want to sort of mock the movie to see that it's working and to identify if there's any holes. So by the time we get to that, then we do it for real in the studio. And we've done things at my studio. We did most of the vocals with John Lowry, and Anthony was doing the mixes, and so we do what we have to do.
How long have you known John Lowry?
I've known John since 2010.
Okay.
He was, the label at the time wanted us to work. I was in the King James band with the King James Project, and our label wanted us to work with John Lowry. And I didn't know how it was going to go. And we developed a really great friendship. He's sort of an older brother / mentor for me. So that relationship works out really great.
Sounds good. Sorry. But what were your thoughts on today's music scene where people tend to stream compared to back when you guys started out and you were selling records compared to streaming.
Could you say that again for my deaf ears?
Sure. What are your thoughts on today's music scene where streaming seems to be the format as compared to 30 years ago where buying the albums was the thing to do?
Well, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It makes it a lot harder because it's taken away a huge primary source of revenue for the artist. There's no ifs, ands, or buts or two ways around it. So that creates a hardship, especially if you came out like Dave and I are. We're both hybrids. You know, I spent the first half of my career in the analog world,
Yeah.
Hmm.
and you get signed by a record label, and then they throw like $200,000 at a project, and you hire these producers who come in with their Rolls Royce, and the producers are making all the money, and everybody's talking about, well, I want 6 points for the album, which is like a percentage of retail, and they're just throwing around huge numbers, and the artist is still broke at the end of the day, but you have this wonderful record, but the artist is in the dark. The system in those days discouraged the artist from learning the craft and from learning the business. Now, I think there was, well, I still haven't gotten over the shock of all of that is pulled away. Now we're in this streaming digital era that we live in, and there's no going back. So if there is a benefit from that, maybe, one benefit is definitely there's no record company dictating what you have to do, and you can do this, but you can't do that, and we want it to be more like this. That's like, well, we'll make the record that we want, and we'll sink or swim on our own merits.
So how did the song "Fear No Evil"? Oh,
Do you have anything to add to that, Dave?
No, you said it perfectly.
Okay.
Nope.
Let's say a lot. Say too much.
so how did the song "Fear No Evil" come about?
23rd song, baby. I was thinking of like, what if there was like a metal version of like a southern rock kind of a groove on the guitar, and then Dave, we have this arrangement. I've encouraged Dave, hey, whatever you have for lyrics, just send them to me, and whatever he sent me. So one day I was just looking through something he had wrote. I am bone, I am skin, I am so much more within. I am fire, I am stone. I was like, whoa, that just grabbed me.
That definitely pops out.
And that it was, and started from that, and the whatever the song is reveals itself as it goes along. So, that was like an inspired piece of writing there. So,
And how does, when you say inspired, how does that happen? Like after an experience, or is it just something someone says, your wife, your friends?
well, it's a formula. You can write great songs every time, and the inspiration is always the same. And I've written it up into a book, and I'm gonna sell it for $39.99 copy. I'm gonna make $6 million in the next 6 months, because if we actually knew how the process works, we'd bottle it and we just
You would have, yeah.
What about the song 29,000? What's the significance of 29,000?
Yeah, I was listening to that earlier.
What is it? What, you tell me.
Well, I don't know.
Your interpretation of it.
Well, it sounds like you're talking about the end times and stuff, but I'm not sure where the number 29,000 comes from.
Well, Chris, what do you think?
I have the same idea too. I was listening to it and I'm like, I don't know. Like, I like the vocals, Dave. They're really good.
Thank you.
Like, but I guess you should know. Aaron is the guitarist. I'm the singer and songwriter.
Okay.
So from a vocal point of view, I was like, I don't know. I mean, I couldn't sing those notes, Dave. That's incredible. Like,
That's why it's better for Dave to sing and I'll play the guitar.
Right.
If we try to do it the other way around, the results will be less than satisfactory.
So 29,000. There's 365 days in a year. 29,000 is a number of days. These are the days of your life. And that's from what scripture? It's actually in the scripture, I think it comes out to 29, a little above 29,000 when you divide it, but it's actually talking about God gave us these days, you know.
oh, okay, that makes complete sense.
These are the days of your life, and how are you using them?
Okay, sounds good.
God has given you these days, and at the end, kings and pawns will all answer to their maker.
Amen.
Wherever,
Amen.
you may be rich, you may be poor, you may be black, you may be white, but you're still going to have to serve somebody.
Larry Norman.
Okay.
And Bobby Zimmerman.
So when I was in high school, I was on a Christian club, and one of my jobs, volunteering, was to play in the little radio station that they had in the school. So I went, and one of the songs I played was Your Attention Please
Oh,
songs that I would open with. And
wow.
I always had kids come up and ask me, well, what the heck is that about? And back then in the 90s, you couldn't find the lyrics or anything really what they were. So I need to ask Rex, what the heck? I think I know partially what you're saying in the song. I do.
Let's call Scotty and ask him exactly what he meant in the lyrics. Isn't it obvious? God is he's calling out to people all over the world right now, and he wants attention, please. May I have your attention, please?
Yes.
Station right here through this door.
And it rocks.
Great, the shepherd knows his sheep, and the sheep heed the shepherd's voice.
No shepherd, yeah.
Good.
I like the song Blind Man. What inspired the use of mandolins?
Well, it was there.
It was sitting in the corner, and Rex sitting in the corner, and Rex said, "Oh, let me try this."
Something like that.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Actually, you had mentioned how one of your influences was Zeppelin, and that Blind Man reminds me a lot like one of the Zeppelin tunes where they do use the mandolins. So I was just wondering if maybe you heard that and thought, I could write a song kind of like that too.
Well, I think Dave should comment on this too, but I'm just going to say that Led Zeppelin, that was for all of us who lived through the 70s, that was the quintessential band, just like, like Van Halen was the band of the 80s, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Zeppelin was the band of the 70s, and musically, they could do these hard rock things, and then they would just stop on a dime and turn around and do an acoustic thing.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a really wide range of the diversity of musical styles, and they weren't afraid of all of it, and it all fit together pretty well. So that's always sort of been in the back of my mind. There's always this gear that says, "All right, great, we have a bunch of rockers now. Let's explore the acoustic landscape." So, Dave, that's a big thing for you too. So, what do you?
Yeah.
No, I think it came out good, and that song actually is a good spot in the record. We talked about streaming versus records, but one thing streaming doesn't have is the sequence of the songs. And most bands, I'm sure you guys probably thought about this, is there's an order to these songs, and right after you had 4 hard rockers, and then you come in with Blind Man, it's in a great spot.
Didn't we have, Dave? We had like a bunch of pulls
Yeah,
went around as far as for the running order.
we did.
That's true.
That was some great ideas, and there was some, I don't know, with knockdown dragouts, but there were some differences of opinion, and
Yeah, but it worked out. It worked out, and I think the order came out beautifully myself.
yeah.
Hopefully, everyone else does too. You know.
Uh,
Hmm.
and I think you hit a nerve there, Aaron, because in this TikTok era that we live in and Facebook Reels, nobody's even got the time to watch a video anymore. My goodness, that's an entire minute and a half. Ain't nobody got the time for
Yeah,
that. So, give me a video in like 20 seconds or less. That is literally the attention span
that's right.
of people in the world today, and that's one of the things that keeps you scrolling through your phone all day long too. Because oh look, another 20-second video. Oh, I'll just watch this. Oh, I'll just watch this. And in the days of the 12-inch vinyl LP, the long play record format, you get the album, you bring it home, you smell the cover, the fresh ink off of the cover, and there's the pictures, and you look at the pictures, and you're reading the text, and you put the headphones on, and it's like an entire sensory experience, and you sit down in one go, and you consume the album from beginning to end, and
And now people could go on YouTube and find Whitecross, and they can already see you
yeah,
how
and
you performed in
all the simple
Oregon last week.
people just they find one song, and they just listen to like snippets of one song.
Yeah,
I look at my YouTubes and my little guitar videos that I put out, and it's like, oh, your average view time is 17 seconds. Really? I guess maybe I'm doing good. I don't know. Maybe that's probably where it's at. So people have about 17 seconds that they're willing to give you.
Yeah,
wow.
don't bore us. Get to the chorus.
Yeah, that's a great line.
Yeah, that's exactly. I think most people remember the chorus, right?
Yeah,
So, yeah,
Yeah, we definitely, as a culture, is consume music differently than the way we used to. And you're right. I used to, you know, run the store and buy the record and then throw it on. Now I gotta wait for it to come in the mail. You can't even go to the record store and get it anymore.
yeah,
You can go to Walmart, but you can't go to Music Go Around anymore because Music Go
No.
Around doesn't exist.
that's right. Yeah.
You know.
And now, I mean, I remember when I had the old Whitecross tape in the cassette, and if there was, one of my favorite songs, I'd have to stop, rewind it. Oh, I went too far, right? We all remember that.
And then you go in the grocery store for a half an hour, and you leave your cassette tape on the dashboard. You come back to your car, and the sun has melted the tape. And
Yes. Yeah. God.
Or your
well,
Yeah.
machine decides to eat it once in a while.
I think all of us have that. Well, you bought your favorite album on a vinyl record, and then you just wanted to bring it with you, so you bought it on cassette. Then your cassette tape wore out. As it was wearing out, then the CD came along, so we ended up buying the record on vinyl, cassette, and CD. Right? I mean,
Wow.
that happened to me a few times. What about for you guys? I mean,
No, definitely. I know. I wasn't big on vinyl just because it wasn't portable. Back in the 80s, growing up, I bought most of my music on cassette. And then CDs got big. Well, I'm like, well, now I got to change my whole music library over to CDs. And
Yeah.
well, you did. And the CD, the compact disc format is an indestructible format that will last for generations. Like,
until you scratch it too many times.
hold on.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. And I admit, I mean, my dad was laughing at me the other day when I told him we were going to talk to you. He's like, well, you could tell him that you were the one when we lived in an apartment, I would blast your guys' song in the apartment while he was gone. So I'm like, oh yeah, they'll love that. That'd be a great,
Well,
like
hats
the
off
old days.
to dad rockers everywhere.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, I must say this has definitely been a treat. I seen you years
Mhm.
ago. I don't know what tour it would have been. Maybe the High Gear tour. You were doing guitar clinics before the show, so I seen you at one of those. Would have seen you at the show later that night then too, type of thing. But I've been listening to you guys, geez, ever since I discovered you way back in mid '80s, and so this has definitely been a treat talking to you.
Yes, totally.
Guitar clinic. Do this. Okay, now do it fast.
See, that's my problem. I can do that. I can't do it fast. Well, I think that about wraps up. Unless you have any more questions, there, Chris.
uh, so, Dave, one last question.
Okay.
For singers like us, what would you recommend to help keep your voice healthy?
Repetition is the key. You want to get your voice strong, so you got to decide on how many days in a row you can sing. Say you want to work on an hour set. Start off with an hour set, sing for an hour every day for however many you can handle, and just do it over and over and over, and then you'll be able to sing more songs and then go sing more days. But you definitely want to get to a point of muscle memory and strengthen your vocal cords, and that just comes from repetition.
When it comes to, is there a routine you guys go through before you guys go on stage? Like,
Well,
do you pray? Do you?
oh yes,
I don't.
yes, yeah. We pray, of course. Sometimes we'll meet in somebody's hotel room and go over the like
The set.
intros and endings of songs. I personally don't have much opportunity to warm up vocally. However, because I rehearse constantly, I go in and I start the set and I start it cold. So I'm rehearsing going in cold with a cold voice. So I rehearse that as well. I rehearse if I'm deadbeat tired, I still go out there and rehearse. So I want to be able to come into any given situation and have rehearsed it that way. So I mean, just repetition is the key to all of it, really. I think that applies to every instrument.
Yeah, definitely. It sounds like it would apply to guitar, bass, or drums, or anything really.
Absolutely. Muscle memory is where you want to be.
Then we rehearse together as a band too.
Yeah, we do
Yeah,
do that as well. Before shows, like before we travel to a show, we'll come into Chicago. We'll go to Rex's house, and we'll either rehearse in his studio or at a local church, and we'll rehearse for a couple of days and make sure because everybody works on their own, and then
that's
we
right.
get together and do it as a group, and then we go on the road and we'll have those hotel get-togethers and discussions on what went wrong on what song, etc. Work on vocal harmonies, acoustic numbers. Another thing we've been doing is working on an acoustic numbers, so that we can do like some of our shows require us to do an acoustic set, and so that's also good for us too. So, but yeah, repetition, rehearsing, that's all very, very key.
Well, thanks for joining us, guys. Thanks for the
Absolutely. Thanks for
opportunity to
having
talk.
us.